From the moment Robert Cormier was born in Leominster, Massachusetts, January 17th, 1925, to the end of his life, he was a young adult author. This is the story of Robert Cormier and his life in literature. Cormier was born to a French-Canadian family in Leominster, Massachusetts, January 17th, 1925. His father, Lucien Joseph, a factory worker, and his mother, Irma Cormier, were a Roman Catholic family. Cormier was the second of 8 children. His older brother, Leo, died when Robert was only 3 years old. Cormier was introduced to bullying and hardship as a young child at his grammar school. He was bullied by the other children and he was hit by his strict non-teachers. But he was surrounded by love in his home. His aunts and uncles were neighbors, and his grandparents lived upstairs in the 3-story tenement. While at his strict grammar school, Cormier showed his writing talent. He wrote a poem to one of his favorite nuns, and then the nun he wrote the poem for discovered this talent. This is the first time that anybody ever realized that he had this ability and thought that he could write so well. When Cormier was slightly older, he would go to the movies by himself. Though his mother didn't get to go to the movies with him, she was able to visualize them due to Robert's scene-by-scene descriptions of the gangster and cowboy movies that he loved. This greatly helped him later on in his life when he was writing books, and it helped him to develop a strong plot in his writings. This is just one of the examples on how his life helped him write his books. After finishing high school at Leominster Public High, Cormier went on, and for college, he attended Fitchburg State University in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. At this college, one of Cormier's teachers submitted one of his papers to a local newspaper. The newspaper company used it as an article and paid Cormier $75. Yet after just a year, Cormier dropped out to pursue a career as a writer-reporter for a newspaper. Cormier became a writer and a reporter at Worcester Telegram and Gazette in Massachusetts, the same area he had always lived in. He worked here for many years and was eventually promoted to being an editor. While working for the newspaper, Cormier won many awards for his writing and became widely known. In 1948, when Cormier was just 23 years old, he was married to Constance B. Sene on November 4th. They had 4 children together, 3 girls and 1 boy. Their children's names were Roberta Sullivan, Peter J., Chris Cormier Hayes, and Renee E. Wheeler. Cormier took the idea for The Chocolate War, a story about a freshman who was bullied because he refused to sell chocolates, off of his son's influence when he was getting bullied by the other kids in his school. Cormier's official writing career started in 1974 when he wrote and published The Chocolate War. This book would go on to be a bestseller and spark his career in young adult writing. After releasing this book, Cormier would produce other bestsellers, some of which were I Am the Cheese in 1977, a complicated story about a boy who realizes everything in his current life is actually the past, and After the First Death in 1979, a story about a terrorist who takes a bus full of children hostage. Cormier loved to travel around the world with his wife. He visited many of the states in the U.S. as well as traveling to other countries, such as Australia, New Zealand, and most of Europe. While in these places, Cormier would give lectures at schools, and he would talk at many colleges. During these travels, Cormier saw many interesting things, some of which gave him inspiration for his writings. Most critics loved Cormier's big hit books, but some of them thought that his books were very downbeat, always filled with tension, and were known to have dark themes. Yet this gave them an exciting edge and kept the reader interested. Some critics gave his books bad reviews, but even though Cormier received praise for his writings by the public. The writing style of Robert Cormier was mostly influenced by what he read in high school. He read books by Ernest Hemingway, Thomas Wolfe, and William Saroyan. These authors strongly influenced his style. His style was also influenced by his life, his previous jobs, and the environment that he lived in. Cormier's mysterious and suspenseful style also came from his interest in intimidation and manipulation. His style kept his readers on edge and interested in his books. Robert Cormier won many awards for his writings, not only for his books, but as well as his newspaper articles and editorials that he wrote for his job. Some of his books won many awards. The Chocolate War won the New York Times Outstanding Book of the Year Award in 1974. I Am the Cheese won the same award in 1977. As well as After the First Death in 1979. Chocolate War was selected to be one of the American Library Association's best book for young adults. On November 2nd, 2000, Robert Cormier died. He died due to his illness of lung cancer. He was buried in St. Cecilia Cemetery in Leominster, Massachusetts, the same place that he grew up and lived in.
Robert Cormier was one of the most interesting and intriguing authors.
His writings were enjoyed by many children from all over the world, and he will live on through his writings. We thank you for watching our video. A Free Production.